You're about to see some video about the BP Texas City explosion trial. Afterwards, you can register to watch the trial live on your computer, as well as view interactive trial highlights, recaps, and analysis. Even examine the evidence the minute it's presented to the jury. You'll be able to vote, debate, participate, and interact with individuals from the media, government, special interest groups, and people just like yourself. There's no charge for this revolutionary event. It's brought to you by your friends at IBC TV, reinventing the Internet.
So then you get into all these other issues. Okay, well now we know how it got there and why it got there and what could have been done to prevent it. Have they considered doing anything about it? Yes. In 1977, they had a policy statement number 6, that said, do not use blowdown drums anymore. Again, for some of these obvious reasons. They amended that many times over the years. And even though they amended it and knew it existed and modified it and changed it from time to time, it still said, get rid of blowdown drums. Anytime you have new construction, build into a flare. For all those reasons we just talked about. They skipped that step to save money. In 2003, they built a new unit next door to this unit. They actually had the engineers come out and drew up all the plans to tie that unit into a flare. They killed the project. Cost savings. They killed the project. So then you get into, okay, well, you still have board operators out there. Why did this tower overfill? Because obviously if it wouldn't have overfilled in the first place, you wouldn't have had the explosion in the second place. There's a lot of debate about all the issues about why it happened. But we do know a number of things. One is, we know that they had one man operating that boardroom. And if you look at a boardroom, it looks like a NASA control center. You have like 14, 16 monitors. And on each one of these monitors in this big room are 6 or 8 little subsquares. Within each subsquare, you can push all these buttons and change the information to see what's going on. That control room runs 4 different units that are all tied into it. One person has to watch all of that now. And it used to be 2 people just watching that one unit. And as they built more units, they keep tying them into this same control room so that those 2 operators had to watch more and more stuff. They then said, you know what, in '99 when the cost savings went in, around that time frame, they had also said, we just need one board operator in there. So instead of having 2 guys in there, or 2 workers, now they just have one. They just cut the cost of running that boardroom in half. Over the objections of the union, filed grievances and stuff, but now you're down to one board operator. In 2003, when they tied another unit in to that same control room, even the supervisors, the management people, went upstairs and says, we got to have 2 people in there. We have too much stuff running through there. Said, no, we're not going to spend the money for more operators. So now you have one person in there. Then you talk about hard work, low wages. You take this board operator. This poor guy, you know how many days he had worked? He'd worked over 30 days straight, 12-hour shifts minimum, because they were in this process of starting this unit up. They're understaffed. They've already fired other people, let them go through attrition, but they've phased down the staff. You have one guy who's worked over 30 days straight, over 12 hours a day, working this boardroom. The shift changed. They actually charged this system up the night before. And so when the guys came in on the day shift, there's poor communication about what had and had not been done on the night shift. Instead of charging the unit, starting it back up with the same team. Because this unit had been shut down. This was the first day they were starting that unit back up. Another thing, it said, well, why don't they have alarms and stuff that go off? Well, they do, but they weren't working because there were work orders out to fix the alarms, but they hadn't gotten around to it. So the alarms don't go off. Then you say, well, is there something in the system that can just keep it from getting into an upset mode? There's 2. You have in any refinery, when you build a unit like this, you have what are called interlocks. And that basically means you have a component in the system to where if fluids start running through faster than they're going out, instead of filling everything up and overpressurizing it, valves switch on and it redirects the flow and puts it in a loop. So it takes that pressure away. You also have in the boards themselves, you don't even have to have mechanical interlocks anymore. The boards themselves, computers can do everything now. The computers on these boards now have built-in software interlocks where a company can put their software system in, have the board working, and if for whatever error, either mechanical failure or from an operator error, you're overcharging the system and putting too much pressure in it, it automatically shuts it off. It's a fail-safe. It's kind of like if your engine can overheat. A lot of them now, they have just something that just shuts it down so you don't burn the engine up. You have those kinds of features built into them so that this doesn't happen. BP was aware of those interlock systems, software systems, and did not put them in. BP had those software systems and interlocks in some of their other new units, but did not want to spend the money to put those in to this unit. I get another example. You look at the tragedy of Eva Rowe. You've met Eva Rowe. You look at the tragedy of her parents both being killed. When you look at the fatalities that were out there, they parked those people in trailers 100 feet from that unit, even though their own policies, their own written rules say do not allow temporary trailers to be located within 350 feet of a unit for safety considerations. And yet they put those people in harm's way. We have testimony from one of the instrument technicians that worked out there who said, I couldn't believe they put the trailers there that close to a unit. I went and told my supervisors. I mean, you actually have workers. It's not their responsibility to see where the trailers are put out there. You have workers that go out there and say, I told management, I'm management, and I told people up higher in management, move those trailers. And they didn't. You had that kind of conscious disregard for the risks that they were putting on people. And it was a time bomb. All these cuts they'd made, the cuts in training, cuts in staff, cuts in maintenance, all of these were the straws on the camel's back. And everybody knew it was going to go.
The record shows that the explosion at the BP Texas City refinery that killed 15 people is not an isolated incident, but rather systemic to a culture of cost-cutting and complacency that's truly industry-wide. While watching and participating in the trial, live as it happens, you will see key evidence of gross negligence and misguided actions that could have and should have never occurred. Are you or your loved ones in danger? Then do something about it. IBC and its benefactors have created a revolutionary interactive website to not only watch the trial live as it happens, but to provide the foundation of grassroots support for sponsoring a national bill that will change the law forever to make sure these disasters are not repeated. We invite you to read about the Eva bill, write your congressman, and sign the petition to let your voice be heard and to make a difference. Brought to you by your friends at IBC TV, reinventing the Internet.